I think a lot of it has to do with the moment where people see kind of a high stakes game where voting for a party that will not form a government is not as appealing or maybe perhaps even risky, and that they want to be connected to making a decision on who will lead the country, whether it's the Liberals or the Conservatives.
Gang, what's up? Aaron, Kennedy, and Looney. We're going to jump right over to CTV and watch Hack Vassy Kapelos with Nick Nanos, who is, I don't know, take him or leave him, Nick Nanos. Like, can you trust his polls? I don't know. Let's take a look.
1 year ago, Mark Carney was sworn in as Prime Minister after securing the Liberal Party's leadership and following the resignation of then Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. For about a year and a half before that, the Liberals were treading water, sometimes fully emerged 20 to 30 points behind the Conservatives. But following the federal election and now a year later, the tides have significantly turned. And brand new data from our pollster of record shows the Liberals are seeing record high ballot support. Take a look at this. The latest tracking from Nanos research puts the Liberals at 47.6% support, an all-time high, while the Conservatives are at 31.1%. The last party to hit 47% ballot support was the Conservatives in December of 2024. But now that's flipped, and the Tories have been trailing behind the Liberals for months. Here to unpack his data and what it means for both the governing and opposition parties is Nick Nanos. He's the chief data scientist and founder of Nanos Research. Hi, Nick. Good to see you as always.
Hey.
Let me know in the comments, guys, what you think about Nick Nanos. I could take him or leave him.
So that reversal, it's only been about a year and 3 months. It is like, just from the 50 feet view, so astounding. Have you ever seen anything like that in that period of time?
No, it's kind of like trading places, Vassy. You know, think of it this way. You know, if we look at December 2024, if the election was then, we'd be saying Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre. Mm-hmm. He would have won a sweeping majority government. The Conservatives would be in power. But fast forward 15, 16 months, and what we have is now the Carney Liberals at around 47, 48%, and the Conservatives in the low 30s. You know, the Conservatives were at 47 at their height. So it's a massive swing. And, you know, it speaks to how volatile things are and how fragile. So, you know what? I think this is a cautionary note for...
Look at those NDP numbers. Those NDP numbers at the very end, look at how they drop. What a tank out that was.
For the Conservatives and the Liberals. For the Liberals, someone should be kind of over their shoulder saying, yeah, remember Pierre Poilievre was at 47. That didn't turn out very well for him, so don't be too confident. And for the Conservatives, it speaks to where they were and where they are now, but that there's still probably hope.
It's a real concentration of support as well among just two parties. Have you seen it like this in a really long time?
No, actually, this is one of the things that in the last 2 years where all of the other parties, the New Democrats have been squeezed, the Greens have been squeezed, you know, the Bloc have been squeezed because Canadians are overly fixated on the two parties where we have, for all intents and purposes, 8 out of every 10 Canadians voting for either the Conservatives or the Liberals.
And do you have the impression that that is because of apparent deficiencies with the other parties, or it is because of the moment in the challenge, the moment we're in, the challenge we face vis-a-vis the United States?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the moment where people see kind of a high stakes game where voting for a party that will not form a government is not as appealing or maybe perhaps even risky, and that they want to be connected to making a decision on who will lead the country, whether it's the Liberals or the Conservatives, and you know, especially in the context of Donald Trump.
And how much of this is about the personal attributes? And we've talked about this a number of times, but you've been really, you know, as you've been tracking the numbers, the personal numbers for Carney and Poilievre were certainly ahead of the party gap, right? For so long, we kept doing this interview, and after the election, they were neck and neck, they were neck and neck, they were neck and neck. What is the thing or the attribute in the person that changed that trajectory?
I just can't explain how people can pay attention to the real news like frontline politics and think that almost 60% of people think Carney would make a better leader than Poilievre at 22%. It's mind-boggling.
Well, you know, the thing is, for Mark Carney, what we see is he has a massive, you know, his personal numbers as preferred prime minister is still 10 points higher than that 47, 48%. Right? He's like at 57, 58% in terms of the proportion of Canadians that think he would make the best prime minister. And, you know, the thing is that, so he's consistently, generally been above his party lately, but, you know, Pierre Poilievre is trailing his party now, and even when the Conservatives were at 47, he it wasn't really about him. A lot of it had to do with the repudiation of Justin Trudeau, people being fed up and angry at the Liberals and wanting change. So maybe one way to think of it as, under the Conservatives, when they were at 47%, it was about punishing the Liberals and Pierre Poilievre as an agent of change. For Mark Carney, it's about almost like a validation of the frenzy of activity that he's had internationally, and that he's seen as a better comparative choice.
But he hasn't accomplished anything. He's done these tours and signed MOUs, which mean nothing. That's it. Oh, my goodness.
Not necessarily. So this isn't about a repudiation of the Conservatives. It's about Mark Carney being very proactive out there.
So when you look at the issue set and you measure what Canadians care about all the time, what is the intersection of that, the issues that matter to Canadians right now, in what you just laid out? Like, what are the takeaways for both of those parties?
Well, the takeaways are that for the Conservatives, they're always able to close the gap whenever the focus is on cost of living, housing, groceries, and stuff like that. And for the Liberals, when it's about international issues. Maybe one way to think about it is Carney has an international advantage. Poilievre has a domestic advantage. So the question is what's the battle between those two kind of bundles of issues? And as long as Canadians are thinking about their place in the world, trade, their relationship with the United States, it's advantage Carney. But when they start thinking about jobs, when they start thinking about groceries, housing, and stuff like that, the Conservatives are more competitive.
So what does that mean for the strategies they employ? Because we have seen a discernible change, for example, with the Conservatives as of late. Right now, as we speak, Mr. Poilievre is in the United States. Yep. Is it important for the Conservatives to blunt the bleed when it comes to that international sphere, as you mentioned, or the Trump sphere? And is it important for the Liberals to address a potential bleed on cost of living?
Yeah, I think for the Conservatives, they have to be more proactive on foreign policy, but they really need the Liberals to govern and, from a Conservative perspective, hopefully make a mistake. You know, whether it's Mark Carney or someone around Mark Carney or a cabinet minister, to hope that that happens. And the other thing is, what we don't know is that, yes, the Liberals are doing very well. How much runway do they have? How long are Canadians going to give, the Carney government the benefit of the doubt until the economy starts improving, till job prospects get better, till a new major project occurs? So it's a bit of a sweet spot for the Liberals, because they're right in between. They're still in power only for a certain period of time, and they still haven't delivered on a lot of the things that they're focused on.
So that 47% number, just to bring it back to where we started, how much of the available sort of voter coalition that they have to them have they captured at this point, and how much more is actually available to them?
Oh, well, I'm not going to say that the Liberals can't do better, because in this environment, I don't know.
Right.
But one of the things that the Liberals have to think about is that they're on a high. And even if we talk about a potential election, we have to remember that once an election happens, Vassy, we all know that everything resets, and Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney will have equal coverage. Right now, they don't have equal coverage.
That's a fact.
It's the Mark Carney show every day, every hour, in all of the news outlets, just because of the frenetic pace that he's kind of running this government at. And so I think for the Conservatives, I don't think they should really panic yet, because once they get more profile, the numbers, it's like the stock market, there'll be like a technical correction for the Liberals. But at 47, that's a pretty good number.
Okay, I'll leave it on that note. Nick, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
We're going to wrap it up right there, gang. Aaron Canadian Looney, get your Canadian federal politics right here. That's it. Smash the like, hit subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. We'll catch you in the next one. Ciao for now.